While the Premier class have a well-earned rest and massage, we step down into the second tier of Club 100 sprinting with the lightweight Clubman class. No less competitive, only very slightly slower. Andrew Johnson took back-to-back wins at Llandow to take the lead of the championship, a narrow lead ahead of Jeff Saunderson. We have cameras on Jeff Saunderson and Andrew Johnson, and competitor drivers in Francesco Volpe and Darrell Boyle. Alex Vincent, though, has pole position ahead of Zachary Stewart. Volpe on grid 3, Danny Hurlock on grid 4, Simon Alcock, Andrew Johnson starts on grid 6, Sean Hollingsworth, Eddie Hall, Robert Lark and Ross Wheeligan round out the top 10. And it's Alex Vincent into the hook first. Volpe is looking for a way past Zachary Stewart. He won't go round the outside of the hook, so he'll try and get in and settle for third. Somebody on his outside as they go down to Cersei's. It's Hurlock and Alcock trying to find a way past him. Eddie Hall puts a move in on Andrew Johnson. Will he make it stick? Hollingsworth finds himself isolated on the outside of Mac Werters. Down the Lancaster curve, on board with Darrell Boyle. He's on the outside and losing out. First to Darrell Boyle, then to Jay Elliott on the exit of Chandler's. Volpe is secure in third place behind Stewart. Ross Wheeligan coming through in 11th. On the bumper of Scott Martin. Alcott looking to the inside of Hurlock, down the inside and through. It's the crisscross on for Hurlock though. He's out side by side. Can he make it stick into the hook though? The road won't go in his favour. Elliott down the inside of Darrell Evans. Oh, it's a bit of a squeeze. Side by side, and it's a squeeze on the exit. Well, they've given each other room, and Boyle gets a run on Elliott, and he's trying to go down the inside of Evans. Has he got it done? I think he has, but he loses out to Elliott. But the door's open again. Side by side off the corner. Great racing in Clubman's. I told you it was as competitive as the Premier class. Eddie Hall, car number 12, coming through in 7th place. He's got Robert Lark, Scott Martin on his bumper. Stewart has pulled out a kart length on Volpe, who in turn's got a kart length on Alcock. Boyle's lost ground on Jay Elliott, and through goes Darrell Evans. They're slowing each other down, even though Elliott makes a mistake on the exit of Raymond's. Lark was looking for a way past Scott Martin there in the hook. Unconvincing, and it hasn't worked. Jason Sitchell chasing after Stephanie Walters. And Ray Norris with Alex Ring. Hurlock showing well in this early going. He's got Hollingsworth and Andrew Johnson behind. So Johnson off to a slow start. Back on board with Jeff Saunderson. That's Dan Milner ahead of us. Down the field here. Saunderson in 18th place. Trying to get his head down. Trying to make ground. There was a move on behind Danny Hurlock, and Johnson's gone through on Hollingsworth. So Andrew Johnson up to 6th place. So the championship leader starts slowly and is now on the move. Volpe holding off Alcock and Hurlock in the fight for 3rd place. Into Matt Werters, the door opens a fraction and Alcock goes through, and Volpe's not impressed. Down to Chandler's. Hurlock looking for a way past Alcock. Happy to sit there for now. Into the Dell. Volpe's got Andrew Johnson closing in. It's half a kart length off the corner. And he's moving into strike. Hurlock to the inside of Alcock. Can't get it done. Volpe, a lot of steering lock going in there. Where's Johnson? He's looking around. Johnson's at his 6 o'clock. Down to Surtees. Hurlock has a peek down the inside of Alcock, but it's unconvincing. Will he strike into Mac Werters if he opens the door? Not quite there. Johnson takes a look over his shoulder. He'll see Sean Hollingsworth and Eddie Hall. Hall in 8th place. So effectively we've got a 6-way dice for the fight for 3rd place as Vincent pulls Zachary Stewart clear. Their advantage is 3.6 seconds over this fight for 3rd place as Volpe is demoted to 5th place. All down the inside of Hollingsworth. A chance for Volpe to come back on the cutback. Hall's got the momentum to take him into the hook. A yellow flag out at the hook. Not sure who's off at the side of the road, can't see the number. Darryl Boyle behind Ross Wheeligan in 13th place. Closing in is Wheeligan looking for a way past Elliott. Elliott's keen to get past Robert Lark. Boyle takes a look over his shoulder, and that's Glenn Beard. So Lark is holding up Jay Elliott, Wheeligan, Darryl Boyle. Elliott is lining up for Raymonds. Into the chicane. He's going to duck to the inside, I'm almost certain of it. Here he comes, Jay Elliott down the inside. Lark makes it hard, but not hard enough. And Ross Wheeligan's looking for an overlap down the hook. Wheeligan can't get it done though. Lark's on the defensive once again. Boyle, Beard, and they're now being joined by Darryl Evans and Ross Britton. There's a queue forming behind Robert Lark. Lark goes narrow into Surtees, and Boyle's looking for a way past Wheeligan. Has he got it done? He's trying to tip it over the top. He can't get it done. Wheeligan won't let him have it. Oh, and Boyle's put into a spin. A lot of contact. Saunderson is going up the inside of Ross Wheeligan. Ross Britton's gone through ahead of us. The 3rd place battle, Alcock, Hurlock and Johnson. They've pulled the gap on Eddie Hall. And it looks as though Volpe is struggling to go with Eddie Hall, and Scott Martin is moving closer to Francesco. Jay Elliott pulling clear of Lark. Lark's clear of Beard. Contact warning board went out there. I think that was for Glenn Beard. He certainly acknowledged it. Jeff Saunderson following Ross Britton. And he's going down the inside for 16th place. Can't get it done. The door closes. Will he try into Matt Werters? Not close enough. You can see there's a gap in between those two apexes that's so tempting to throw it up the inside of. Back on board with Boyle. He's now falling behind Stephanie Walters. So Boyle down to 18th place after that incident on the previous lap. Your race leader, Alex Vincent, half a second clear of Zachary Stewart. They've got 4.3 seconds on Simon Alcock. Andrew Johnson appears to be biding his time on Danny Hurlock. Eddie Hall edging back to them. Volpe ahead of Scott Martin in 7th. Oh, but not anymore. And he struggled with that corner again. Was he pushed? He certainly thinks so. Hurlock hanging on ahead of Andrew Johnson. How long will Johnson wait as Eddie Hall moves closer? So Scott Martin ahead of Volpe. Hollingsworth in 9th. Scrappy exit of the Dell. Scott Martin conscious of not giving up a position that was hard won. Oh, what a poor piece of driving from Scott Martin. Missed his braking point, was too concerned with Volpe. So he'll have to try again. And he's closing in as they go to Matt Werters, the scene of the crime, as Volpe might suggest. Andrew Johnson looking for a way past Danny Hurlock. Volpe takes a look over his shoulder. Scott Martinston looking to the inside as they go into Chandler's. That's a brave move. Well, it looked fair to me on that occasion. Into the Dell. Exit is crucial here. Got to get a nice smooth line. Keeps it out of the tyre barriers and off the curbs as best you can. Hollingsworth looking to the inside of Volpe down to the hairpin. It's late and unconvincing. Andrew Johnson's got a run on Danny Hurlock and he's through. Jay Elliott's got a run on Hollingsworth into the hook as well. Sliding it in sideways, four-wheel drift style. The tyres are rock hard, but it does look good. So Jay Elliott up to 9th place. Next target is Francesco Volpe. Up front, Alex Vincent's lead is 0.3 of a second ahead of Zachary Stewart. Can Andrew Johnson do anything about Simon Alcock in less than a lap and a half? It's a big ask. He's the best part of a second down on Simon Alcock. Vincent comes round the start his final lap. His lead is 0.26 of a second. Simon Alcock appears to have third place in the bag. Johnson is pulling clear of Hurlock and Hall. There's still time for J. Elliott to put a move in on Volpe for what would be 8th place. Vincent out of McWhirters. Time running out for Seward, but he is closing in. Looking to the inside of Chandler's would be brave. And I wonder if he'll pay for that, because he's lost a kart length by taking that narrow line in. Perhaps he should have saved it for the last corner, because I think he's going to be too far back. It's 2-3 kart lengths. That's a hell of a lunge into the final corner at Raymond's. Alex Vincent out of the final corner and taking the first win of the day at Llandow from Zachary Stewart and Simon Alcock. Well, after a superb first final, the second final from Llandow has a lot to live up to in lightweight clubman. Fastest laps once again sets the grid for final 2, and Zachary Seward set the fastest lap. No surprise to see him on the front row with race 1 winner Alex Vincent. Scott Martin, Eddie Hall on row 2, J. Elliott and Andrew Johnson on row 3. Union flag flying, we're charging down to the hook for the first time, and it's Seward ahead of Vincent. Hall in third place ahead of Scott Martin. On board with Jeff Saunderson, trying to find a way past Simon Alcock, who's lost out to Ross Britton in the charge down to Surtees. Darrell Boyle behind Darrell Evans once again, where he spent most of the first final. He's got inside of him though in McWhirters, but on acceleration, Evans will hold on to that spot. Through Chandler's for the first time and down to the Dell, and it's Seward from Vincent. Eddie Hall, Scott Martin, Andrew Johnson, J. Elliott. And already this final is shaping up to be a belter. I can feel it. Vincent for the lead down at Raymond's. Martin to third inside a Hall. And will that give Johnson a chance to do the pair of them? Well, he's certainly got Eddie Hall. J. Elliott takes a watching brief. Zach Seward pulls onto the lead into the hook. Jeff Saunderson is up to 7th place in the chasing group and ahead of Volpe. Darrell Boyle is chasing after Alex Ring. So Seward leads into McWhirters, keeping that door firmly shut on the inside of McWhirters. The long run round the Chandlers. It looks like Volpe's trying to find a way past Saunderson for 7th. And this field appears to be beginning to close up. Seward not quite as fast as he'd like to be, but he's pulled out a kart length on Vincent. We ride on board with Andrew Johnson. Scott Martin ahead of us. Johnson taking a look over his shoulder, wondering where Eddie Hall is. Well, he needn't bother. He's got a couple of kart lengths on him for now. Saunderson closing in on Elliott. Ross Wheeligan ahead of Simon Alcock in 13th. Vincent looking at the inside of Seward. He's opened the door just a crack and he's through. Vincent runs him out wide. Seward on the concrete. Vincent tries to wave him back through and Scott Martin dives straight through. Oh, and Seward's out the side. There's 3 wide in Chandler's. Seward's down on the grass and Saunderson has passed the pair of them. He's gone past Eddie Hall. Eddie Hall comes back at him. Oh, Zachary Seward, he led into McWhirters. He's down in 7th place. And he's lost out to Volpe. Poor Zach Seward going backwards through the field as he gets beaten up. Scott Martin leads ahead of Alex Vincent. Johnson looking for second and goes through. So Johnson moves forward as Seward is down in 9th place. There's a yellow flag being waved. That's for Robert Lark, some kind of technical problem. So Seward with a mountain to climb. He's down behind Francesco Volpe. He's now down in 8th place. Johnson, the championship leader, in second ahead of Vincent and Elliott. It's 4 away at the front as Scott Martin is looking over his shoulder once again. I think he should concentrate on looking forward, because the last time he went like this, he made a few mistakes, including giving up a place very cheaply. So on to lap 5. And it's Saunderson setting the fastest lap in 5th place. And he's closing in on J-Lit. He's dropped Eddie Hall. Hall now holding off Volpe. Darryl Boyle in 16th. Looking at Ray Norris, trying to find a way past Alex Ring, as Ring is now looking for a way past Sean Hollingsworth in 13th. Scott Martin leads. Johnson closing in. Martin goes in a little bit more committed into Chandler's, but there's no lack of commitment. Johnson moving closer, bouncing across the curbs. Martin over his shoulder. He's made a mistake before down at Raymond's. Due to looking over his shoulder, he goes very narrow. The crisscross is on for Johnson. It's almost as easy. He's got the momentum and he's got the inside for the hook. Will Martin tipping over the top? He daren't. He settles into second, ahead of Vincent. J. Elliott in the blue suit. And Jeff Saunderson is joining in. This is a 5-way dice for the lead. Vincent narrowing to Mac Werters, as everybody is. I'm not sure it's necessarily the fastest line, but it is the defensive line that you've just got to take. Wide out to Surtees, making a double apex into Mac Werters. Gap now developing to Eddie Hall, who's under pressure from Volpe. Seward recovering in 8th. Ross Britton, Danny Hurlock rounds out the top 10. We're through half distance. Johnson's leads 0.2 of a second. Volpe, I think, tried to find a way past Hall at the hairpin. It's failed, and now he's under pressure from Zachary Seward. Alex Ring moving in on Ross Wheeligan for 12th place. Saunderson is now up with J. Elliott, looking for a way by, but J. Elliott gets good drive out of Mac Werters. Ray Norris trying to find a way past Alex Ring, or is he trying to hold him off? Well, Ring stays in 13th place. Boyle down the inside into Chandler's. Had to go a long way and runs wide, and on the crisscross, Ray Norris takes the position back. Oh, and Scott Martin's in the tyres. I don't think there was contact with Vincent, so I think that was a mistake once again from Scott Martin. A lapse in concentration, because you really shouldn't be on that curb. Johnson leads from Vincent, Elliott, Saunderson. It's 4-way at the front now. Eddie Hall rises up to 5th place with the demise of Scott Martin. Saunderson trying to find a way past J. Elliott, conscious that they're losing ground on the leading pair. Saunderson is through. Lovely move from Jeff Saunderson. Can he hold off J. Elliott into Chandler's? Yes, he can. It's a short shoot to the Dell, and it's a narrow line in, and Saunderson's got it covered. 3rd place it is. Elliott will now have to think about Raymond's. Oh, Saunderson sloppy off the corner. He's lost a fraction of momentum. That will be enough to give J. Elliott a chance. It forces Saunderson in narrow. But Saunderson keeps them and revs up over start finish. Seward is now ahead of a shaking head of Francesco Volpe. Ross Britton takes a shot from Simon Alcock, unimpressed. Britton stays in 8th place. Wheeligan holding off Danny Hurlock in the fight for 11th. Volpe regroups. He's still shaking his head. It's not been a good day for Fran. Simon Alcock down the inside of Ross Britton into Chandler's. And I'm sure that's gone through. Simon Alcock is in 8th place. But he's got a queue behind him, starting with Wheeligan and Ross Britton. Volpe closing in. Close enough to throw it down the inside. Can he make it stick? Or will Zachary Stewart get it on the crisscross? They're side by side. And that will be enough for Stewart to take it back. Oh no! Volpe tips it over the top. It's a brave move. Well done, Volpe. back in 6th place. Back on board with Darrell Boyle, Sean Hollingsworth ahead of us. So Boyle in 15th. It's all kicking off ahead. Ray Norris has got his mojo on and has just demoted Danny Hurlock. Hollingsworth wants to follow through with him, and Boyle will as well if he can. Hollingsworth had to lift in the middle of Chandler's, and that opened the gap in the Crocodile for Danny Hurlock to get back in the slot. Boyle now looking for drive out of the Dell. Alex Ring spent most of this race trying to hold off Ross Wheeligan while trying to find a way past Ross Britton. He stays in 10th place. Ray Norris pulling a cart length on Danny Hurlock, who's under pressure from Hollingsworth and Darrell Boyle. We're on the penultimate lap. Andrew Johnson's lead is the thick end of a second ahead of Alex Vincent. They've got 2 seconds on Jeff Saunderson. Boyle looking round the outside of Sean Hollingsworth. That's a bit brave. Now can he undercut him and get a run down the Dell? He had to lift. Hollingsworth is shooter tipping over the top. Oh well, Darrell Boyle's gone through. No stopping Darrell Boyle on that one. He moves to 14th and then makes a mistake on the exit, and Hollingsworth takes it back. Ross Wheeligan down the inside of Ross Britton. The crisscross. Which way will it go? Wheeligan's got the position. Ross Wheeligan up to 10th. We're on the final lap. Andrew Johnson's lead is still just over a second. He's heading for a 3rd win in 4 finals. Ray Norris has just gone down the inside into Surtees of Ross Britton. So Ray Norris up to 11th. Britton down to 12th and under pressure from Hurlock. Gap then to Hollingsworth, Boyle, Stephanie Walters, Jason Sitchell. Volpe is 2 cart lengths down on Zachary Stewart in the fight for 6th. That will be enough for Stewart. Here's your race winner. 3rd win in 4 races for Andrew Johnson, ahead of an excellent day's racing for Alex Vincent. Jeff Saunderson minimised the championship damage by coming in 3rd.